All right, today is a good day to do some math. In this lesson, we're going to look at rational equations. We haven't looked at equations in a little while. Haven't seen any equal signs in a while. So the key today is going to be, just kind of like in the last lessons, is finding a common denominator and getting that same denominator. After we find a common denominator in an equation like the one like this, we can multiply both sides of the equation by the denominator. If we do this, it cancels out the denominator. 2 over 2 cancels out to 1. 2 over 2 cancels out to 1. So we're just left with what is in the numerator. And this is a very easy problem to solve. X plus 3 equals 1, so x will equal negative 2. So if we have the same denominator in the equation, we can just get rid of the denominator. We can multiply by it, and it will disappear, and we're just left with the numerator. So that's kind of going to be our key today, is getting finding these common denominators and getting rid of them. So if I want to, I can check this equation also. Negative 2 plus 3 over 2 equals 1 over 2. If I plug in negative 2 into that equation, and we know negative 2 plus 3 is 1, so 1/2 equals 1/2. And that is correct. All right, so moving on to something a little bit more difficult. We have a longer equation here. 4 different units it looks like we're playing with. So what we need to do first, we have all these fractions, and none of them have the same denominator. So we have to find a common denominator. So to find the common denominator, we need to look at all the different fractions. So this one has a denominator of 2x. This one has a denominator of 3. So I know that we're going to have a 2x and a 3 in my denominator. This denominator just has an x, so my common denominator already has an x in it there. And this one has a 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So it looks like 6x will be my common denominator. That should work for all these denominators here. So let's try that. 6x equals 6x plus 6x. So we're going to change all these denominators to 6x. So to do that, 2x to change to 6x, we need to multiply it by 3, right? So we can multiply this fraction by 3 over 3, and we'll get a 15 on top. To get this 3 to change to 6x, we need to multiply it by 2x. So we can multiply both by 2x, and 2 times 2x is 4x. Here we're missing a 6. 1 times 6 is 6. And this last fraction, it looks like it's missing an x. So we'll multiply by x over x, and my numerator becomes 5x. So you can see the rule up here, multiply by missing factors in denominator. So this 2x is missing a factor of 3 to get to 6x. Now that I have 6x as my denominators, I'm going to combine my fractions. So if I combine my fractions together, we don't add the denominator, or subtract the denominator in this case, but we combine this into one fraction. It's 15 minus 4x all over 6x. And that is equal to 6 plus 5x all over our common denominator, 6x. Now we have the same common denominator, so we can go ahead and multiply both sides of the equation by the denominator, just like we did in the previous problem, to cancel out the denominators. And we get 15, let me write that again. We get 15 minus 4x equals 6 plus 5x. So we got rid of our fractions, and this should be a pretty easy problem to solve now. We can add 4x to both sides. If I add 4x to both sides, I get 15 equals 6 plus 9x. Then if I subtract 6 from both sides, I get 9x equal, If I subtract 6 from both sides, I get 9 equals 9x. And I can divide both sides by 9, and I get x is equal to 1. I could take that x and plug it in, this x equals 1, to all of my different x's to check it out, but I'll leave that for you guys. Alright, this is the last problem we're going to look at. It's as complicated as it's going to get for you. So, we need to find first a common denominator. Alright, so our common denominator, we know this has a 2y plus 8. So let's look at this. We have a 2y plus 8. We have a y squared minus 16, and we have a 2y minus 8. All of these look a little bit familiar. They all have something kind of in common. We have this y, we have an 8, we have a 16, which is double 8, right? And we have another 8. So there's something going on with them that's in common. So I think what we can do to make this a little bit easier on us is to factor these before we find our greatest common denominator. So let's do that and see what happens. So this denominator, 2y plus 8, the 2 and the 8 have a common factor of 2. So I'll factor out a 2, and inside I get y plus 4. I'm going to do the same thing at the end here. I'm going to factor out a 2, and I get y minus 4. So we're negative 8. In the middle here, y squared minus 16, that is a differences of squares. So I can factor that, and it should be y plus 4 times y minus 4. Alright, so now I think we can find our greatest common denominator a little bit easier, because this first one here, we have a 2, right? I'm going to write it out to the side here. So the first one here, we have a 2 and a y plus 4. The second denominator here, we have a y plus 4, which I already have, and we have a y minus 4. So I'm going to put that y minus 4 in there also. Then the last one is 2 and y minus 4, which I already have here, 2 and y minus 4. So it looks like this is going to be my greatest or least common denominator. So let's create that now. So I'm going to change my denominators all to this, which is a big long denominator, right? Hopefully we have room. 2 times y. Let me do this again here. Minus 2 times y plus 4 times y minus 4 equals 2 y plus 4 y minus 4. Alright, let's try and do this quickly. So this denominator is missing a y minus 4, so that means I need to multiply this by y minus 4 over y minus 4. So I'll get 10 times y minus 4, which is 10y minus 40. This is missing a 2. So I'm going to multiply it by 2 over 2. So I'll end up with 14y plus 16. And the last one is missing a y plus 4. That's over y plus 4. So we get negative 8y minus 32. Alright, so now we have the common denominators. So I can multiply everything by the denominator. I'm not going to write that out, but we can multiply each set by our denominator, and the denominator will leave. It'll be gone. So we'll get 10y minus 40. Be careful here with this minus sign. It's making this whole fraction negative. So it's going to become minus 14y minus 16 equals negative 8y minus 32. All right, so now let's combine like terms. Combine 10y and negative 14y. That'll become negative 4y. And negative 40 and negative 16 becomes negative 56. Equals negative 8y minus 32. Let's make a little more room. Now I'm going to add 8y to both sides. And we get 4y minus 56 equals negative 32. Now I can add 56 to both sides. If I add 56 to both sides, what do I get? I get 8 and 6. Let's see, 56 minus 32 is 24. Alright, so the last step then is going to be divided by 4, and I get y is equal to 6. And we're done. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in class.